What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back to another edition of the Overtime Sports Show, coming to you live in our regularly scheduled time slot. Back with you on a Tuesday evening. Of course, you know my name, Greg Gross. You should know my co-host name, Dan O'Brien, here for another hour or so to recap everything in the world of sports. Ton of stuff to talk about with the Super Bowl, a couple other sports, some new stuff that we'll probably get to, but like we start off every show, I thought it ended last week before our Super Bowl special, but apparently he's got another hat for us this week.
That I
Dan,
do. That
you keep surprising me. You keep
Mhm.
pulling the rabbit out of the hat. You have some tricks up your sleeve.
That I do.
Show me what you got.
All right, please hold.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's XFL or
XFL, yes, sir.
okay. Tampa Bay
So,
Vipers.
yeah, Tampa Bay Vipers. Yeah, you like it?
I do. I like the colors. I'll be honest. I don't. You probably know how I feel about the XFL and some of these other what I call off-brand leagues. Hard for me to get into them, but some of the logos, the names, the colors are pretty cool. And I got to be honest, that's a nice looking hat.
Oh yeah, it's a good time. I wanted to pull it out. I went to a game with a friend of the show, Chris Dolan, and we bought a hat there, and I also bought a hat for a friend of the show, Jeff Creason. So I was talking to him this weekend, and he said, "Yeah, pull out the Vipers hat." So Vipers hat it is, my friend.
Awesome. I like it. It's definitely unique. I'll give you that. So you know more about this than I do, but I have a general sense of what's going on with that league. The XFL and the USFL are merging. Is that right?
Yes, they're merging, and
they're a spring league, right? So they're going to start up probably soon. What, March, April?
yeah, they start up, I believe, end of March, and the USFL and the XFL they merged, and now they're calling themselves the UFL. And I believe that the Tampa Vipers are no longer a team. So this is an old
Really?
school. Yeah, they went away.
Wow. Already a defunct organization. So that's a relic you might have there. You should keep that bad boy in a case, and you never know, it could be worth some money one day.
Oh, you know I will. You know I will.
Nice.
But yeah. So
good stuff.
Yes, sir.
I like it. Keep surprising me. I hope you can continue it. We got some things in the works, so we might be working with some sponsors we mentioned. Hopefully, company will come through, and you might be getting a subscription service of hats, and you can keep this rolling. But it's been fun, and you surprised me. So, kudos to you. Probably just going to jump right in. We all know what's the topic of the day. This is our second show in just 4 days. We're coming off the heels of our Super Bowl special where Dan and I got the pleasure of doing a show together in person, which was a real treat for us. Hope everybody enjoyed a little bit different dynamic with the two of us being in the same room, which was awesome. Wish we could do a little bit more. We'll probably try to work some of those formats in the near future where we can keep doing shows together. But back apart doing things virtually, but really just want to hit home what's on everybody's mind, and that's the Super Bowl recap. I don't know about you, Dan. I mean, we watched the game together. It started off pretty slow. I think we were all kind of in agreement. It looked like it was a little bit of a snoozer. There wasn't much, offensively happening. A couple turnovers. If you're a defensive person, you like to see that. I guess it was enjoyable. But first half, it looked like it was kind of a little uneventful. But I think the second half really made up for that. It was a tight game from the beginning. It started out low scoring, but was pretty even, stayed even throughout the end of the game. Obviously, when it made it to overtime, but it was close throughout the entire game, and that's really what I expected. If you listen to this show and follow some of our opinions, I expected this to be a coin flip. I on record thinking the Niners were going to squeak out a win, but I said it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Chiefs came through with Mahomes, his experience, his leadership, and just how hot they've been down the road into the playoffs. And I think that's what we saw. That's the best way I can sum it up is a really, really tight game, kind of back and forth, especially at the end. But hey, what a lot of people thought was never doubt Mahomes, and he proved that again, first time in I think 20, 21 years, something like that, where we have a repeat champion. Not easy to do in this league. We talked all season long. We've beaten a dead horse about how the Chiefs didn't look the same, but they got hot at the right time. And I don't want to say Mahomes made it look easy, but I think he probably had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's probably got a nice little smirk or a grin on his face when people talk to him about how he was able to do this, and rightfully so. He gets a lot of accolades now in my book, and there's going to be another 8-9 months in front of us where everybody starts talking about, is he the new GOAT? I don't want to really get into all that right now, but you got to tip your cap to what he did. It was a close game. I feel bad for the Niners, Shanahan, Purdy. They've got a deep team, so I expect them to be in the hunt next year. But the game really was played the way I thought it would be, and Mahomes got it done, and it's kind of nothing short of remarkable. But what do you think, Dan?
Yeah, definitely. We talked about the Chiefs all year long, all show long. I want to say, our first couple episodes, we talked about how their offense was lackadaisical, lackluster, and how they were looking to find a receiver without Tyreek Hill. So they brought in MVS, Marquise Valdes-Scantling. They got my rookie Rasheen Rice, and they had Kelsey. I mean, so they, the first, 6-7 weeks, we talked about how their offense, like I said, was lackadaisical, lackluster, and looks like finally everything started clicking. I mean, they had a top defense. I think we were at getting dinner before we did our show on Friday, and I think it said that it was the first time 2 top 5 defenses were going against each other in a Super Bowl in a long time. So they definitely worked on their defense and, kind of leaned on their defense, but I think everything just was clicking. I mean, Travis Kelce's Travis Kelce, Mahomes is Mahomes, and we saw the emergence of Rasheen Rice. I think he's a threat to be reckoned with. I mean, rookie out of SMU, kind of came out of nowhere, but he's got the speed, and you have Mahomes throwing to him, and you have Kelce taking away some coverage. I think they just, sky's the limit because Mahomes is still young. He's only 28 years old. I wanted to mention a stat that I read. We saw it yesterday before I left Sarasota, that he was the youngest player in NFL history to be named Super Bowl MVP 3 times. So I think that's pretty impressive at 28 years old.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's incredible to think that when Brady retired, you look at some of these guys in their respective sports, you think that their records are just untouchable. A lot of it obviously is their skill and what they were able to accomplish. But another part of it to me is the longevity, the durability. You look at a guy like Wayne Gretzky. I look at the goaltending in hockey. A guy like Brodeur has records that we think are untouchable, and it's because he played for a long time. Brady is like that. He played for a long time, right up until 45, almost 46 years old, I think.
Yeah, 21 years, I want to say.
Now, yeah, I mean, I always think of about age 40 or so is like the breaking point for guys in most sports, really the 4 major sports: hockey, football, basketball, baseball. It always seems like that's where, guys start to decline when they hit 30, 35, and generally guys usually hanging up when they hit 40. But, Mahomes is 12 years from that mark, and that's if he stops at 40. If he plays till 42, 44, he probably has Brady's records, I don't want to say easily, but definitely in his sights. And even up until a year or 2 ago, we really didn't think that was possible, but just shows you a lot can happen in a year or 2. Chiefs rattle off 2 Super Bowls in a row. Mahomes has 3 rings now and counting. So yeah, really impressive stuff from him.
Yeah, and it looks like he hasn't really had any major injuries. I mean, last year he had that ankle injury, but he played through it. And I don't know if you watched the Netflix documentary when they did the quarterbacks last year, but they showed his training routine, and they have, I want to say he trains 5 days a week, and 3 of those days is intense training where he does weird things where he picks up a medicine ball and goes back to fourth and then throws it as hard as he can on the ground. I mean, a lot of people have seen that. Dak Prescott does it. And then there's 2 days of just cardio. So the way that he's doing it is the right way to do it. And obviously he's in shape, so he might have gotten some, Tom Brady was always an eater, a very disciplined eater. He didn't eat, I think he said he never drank milk or he never had carbohydrates.
Avocado ice cream, right?
Yeah, avocado ice cream, avocado tequila, as we saw a couple years ago on the celebration. But I think Mahomes is just, like I said, 28 years old. I think the sky's the limit for him. He seems to be doing everything correct, besides his idiot dad who's got 3 DUIs, his idiot brother who got arrested for forcefully making out with somebody, and his wife, who's a little out there. I mean, he's got a lot of distractions, but it shows that he is distraction free and he just focuses on football, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Like, it seems that Mahomes is a student of the game. He
Yeah,
really buys in, and I think you have to be to play at his level to be accomplishing what he's accomplishing. But not everybody's like that. I mean, the league is full of athletes who are in amazing shape and condition, but there are guys out there who don't put in the time. They don't. They're not completely dedicated in the off season. Some guys would rather take their money and chill on the beach a little bit, and it shows. But Mahomes truly seems like he's dedicated, and the results speak for themselves. He's achieving what few thought was really possible at his age. So I think you nailed it.
yeah, definitely. And a couple other cool stats that I grabbed from Instagram. I wanted to touch on Speak Spagnuolo. He was defensive coordinator. He's now the first offensive or defensive coordinator in NFL history to win 4 Super Bowls. So I think that's a pretty impressive stat. He won 2 with your boys and 2 with the Chiefs. So very,
Really
very cool there. Yeah.
That's not something that gets talked about often. I mean, you don't.
No.
I mean, look who gets all the praise and the accolades in this game. It's Mahomes, and rightfully so. The quarterback is, in most people's opinion, the most important position on the field. A guy like Kelsey, great athlete, he gets a lot of the praise. The head coach is going to get some praise, but very rarely do you go down to defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, line coach, things like that. But Spags, you're right. I mean, and to be able to take that through a couple different franchises, because now that I'm thinking about it, when the Patriots won 6 Super Bowls, a few of them were in the early 2000s. So you'd have to think that, did they have the same D coordinator then? Does that guy have 3?
So
I don't know who it was back then.
It was Romeo Cornell, but don't forget, they had Romeo Cornell, they had Charlie Weiss, and they also had Josh McDaniels, they had Matt Patricia. So a lot of those dudes, when they won the Super Bowl, remember they took head coaching jobs. I think Romeo Cornell went to the Browns, Charlie Weiss went to Notre Dame, sucked at Notre Dame. We don't want to talk about that year. And then he went to be an offensive coordinator a couple other places. So to show this guy do 2 with the Giants and 2 with the Chiefs, that's pretty remarkable. Really cool, because he just talks about longevity and being a very good coordinator on defense. I think it's a really cool stat.
I do too. I mean, that's a great point you made. I didn't think about that. A lot of times, guys, they're always so coveted. Team has
they get plucked.
Yeah, they get plucked. They cherry pick these guys, and it doesn't always work out, because now that I'm thinking about it, Spags was a coach. Maybe 5-10 years ago with the Rams? I think.
Yeah, he was a head coach at the Rams. Yep.
Yeah.
And then he came over to Andy Reid with the defense coordinator.
Didn't have too much. I mean, it wasn't the worst hiring. I think it's not like he completely flamed out, but clearly it just seems like he's a guy who is a better fit for a coordinator than a head coach. And how can you argue with it? I mean, 4 Super Bowls. Hats off to Spags. A lot can be said about the Giants and the Super Bowls they won in the 2000s. A couple miracle plays here and there. Eli escaping some tackles, Tyree with the helmet catch. A lot of people would say that the defense got them those Super Bowls, and who was the mastermind of that? Spags. He knew the buttons to push, the personnel to use, and he carried it over from the Giants now to the Chiefs and did it again. So great point. I can't help but think, I mean, does he have more eyes on him now? Does somebody try to coerce him into leaving again and getting a head coaching job? I mean, we know that a lot of the vacancies have been filled now, but I think the spotlight's still on him. Is, throw some money at that guy and see if he can bring the magic to your team.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that article that I saw from Instagram, it actually said, will he get another head coaching job? And you hit it too, not to repeat what you said, but a lot of guys are suited to be defensive coordinator instead of a head coach. Maybe they're, leaders, but they can't handle the responsibility. Maybe that's a bad way to put it, but they can't handle, doing offense and defense. Maybe they just are good at one thing, either offense or defense, as we see with Spags. So, I mean,
I think that's completely fair. I mean, jack of all trades, master of none can hurt some people. That's kind of like a head coach has to do a little bit of everything, but somebody like Spags, the SME, we call it, subject matter expert, stick to being a defensive coordinator and be the expert at it. And it certainly seems like he is.
Yeah, exactly. And two other stats that I thought were pretty cool from the Super Bowl. I don't know if you saw this, but Christian McCaffrey, he was the first player with 80 plus rushing yards and 80 plus receiving yards in a Super Bowl. So I think that was pretty cool. I mean, it just tells you, when we started the show, you said how the 49ers are poised to continue being in the spotlight and going to the Super Bowl year after year. I mean, they got McCaffrey and they got Purdy. I mean, those two stats, 80 receiving and 80 rushing, that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, they'll be back. In fact, that's a good segue. I'm looking right now, the odds for next year. I heard it was the Niners that were actually favorites, which, again, to me, it still kind of goes for a toss-up. I think right now, nothing's changed, obviously. We're 2 days removed from a Super Bowl. You'd have to figure the Niners and the Chiefs are probably front runners. But as I look at it, Bet Online has the Chiefs at plus 500, which I think is right. I mean, I think it's pretty disrespectful to have a team win the Super Bowl and then 2 days later, when you're looking at next year, not have them as the favorites. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me. But that's what I'm looking at. I don't know if you check Hard Rock or another one, but looks like Chiefs are still favorites next year.
Yeah, I got CBS right here. I got the Niners at plus 550, the Chiefs at plus 650, and then the Ravens at plus 900.
Yeah, there you go. How's that make any sense?
Yeah. I mean, the craziest thing is the Carolina Panthers at plus 25,000. Could you imagine putting like $10 on that and somehow? Yeah,
$100 gets you. I see. Yeah. This just shows you how wild it can be. I guess the futures are more unpredictable and there's more variance, because I'm looking at Carolina's only plus 15,000. That's a huge difference. You put down 100, you get 15 grand, crazy. And yours, you get 25. That's a big difference.
Yep. And then another stat I wanted to touch on too. We mentioned this when we were watching the game on Sunday, that both Jake Moody and then Harrison Buckner, they broke the field goal, longest field goal in Super Bowl history. First by Moody with a 55-yarder, and then Buckner by a 57-yarder. So I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, two Super Bowl records broken in the same night. I thought that was pretty cool to watch.
Did you catch this stat? It was
Buckner.
Butker, yeah, he got 4 field goals.
Yep,
which is 12 points. One of them, like you said, broke the record, and then he also got a PAT. So 13 points out of 25. 52% of the Chiefs' total offense.
He outscored the offense.
Yeah, he did. And people are saying, did he get robbed of the MVP? And I don't know if he got robbed per se, but I certainly think he deserved consideration. I mean, without
that would have been wild to get a field goal kicker to get the MVP. I bet that's never happened before.
No way in hell. And that's, I'm kind of sad because I don't think it ever will happen. It's just not a sexy pick, No,
not at all.
It's just not. And I'm not saying Mahomes didn't deserve it. The guy just played out of his mind and was able to carry his team, come from behind. But yeah, I mean, Butker had just as good of a case as any to get the MVP. If the Niners had won, I think it probably would have been McCaffrey for the reason you mentioned. He had a pretty solid game. He fumbled early, but he came back and kind of redeemed himself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling up Harrison Buckner's playoff stats. I saw something the other day. His stats were just unbelievable in the playoffs. Hold on, playoff stats. So this year,
entire playoffs?
Yeah. So let's see if I can find this real quick. Give me a second. Yeah, so 2023, he was 4 games played. He was 11 for 11 on field goals made and 8 for 8 on extra points made. So it was a perfect. Yeah. So, and then this is pretty cool too. His Buckner, he's 32 for 36 on field goals and 62 for 65 on extra points for 158 points in 19 games in his playoffs career. So that's pretty impressive for a field goal kicker.
That's like Vinatieri level consistency and reliability, right? I mean, that guy called him Mr. Clutch or whatever. And wow.
Exactly. Pretty cool stuff. I just thought that was pretty cool.
It really is, and to be honest with you, that's just so much more validation. I'm a guy, call me old school, traditionalist, whatever. Call me even stubborn if you want. But I'm a guy who doesn't want to see kicking leave the game. I hate that they're almost taking kickoffs out of the game. I'm all for player safety. I think adjustments can and already have been made to help with that a little bit. But I don't like seeing kickoffs come out of the game. People have already talked about taking out field goals. They moved back the extra point. I think that's great. You make the PATs a little harder. But there's some people out there who just hate kicking, hate field goals, think it's sort of useless. And when you look at what you just rattled off, I mean, how can you take it out when you see how vital it can be to the game? I mean, it's
Yeah.
games that we saw this Super Bowl. Yeah, there was some offense. The winning score was a touchdown, but the rest of the game was a kicking battle. You had two
Yeah.
field goals that broke the record. So I think kicking part of the game has solidified itself and needs to stay.
Yeah, don't forget that blocked extra point for the
Yeah,
49ers. So that actually,
good
if
point.
the field goal doesn't get blocked, it's not a 3-point game. When they're driving in the
Yep.
fourth quarter, it's 20 to
Yeah.
16, not 19-16 to bring it into overtime. So you have to get a touchdown and not a field goal.
Great
So
point.
that this puts into your point of field goal kickers being, pretty intricate to a team.
Yeah, it matters. It's not just
Yeah.
it's no longer a gimme point, which I think that's what the NFL wanted. They wanted to take out where the PAT was just looked at as a sure thing, and it's not anymore. There's guys that miss them somewhat regularly. So
Yeah, I think we should touch on two of our inaugural things that we did this year with our sports show. I
you're
want to
reading my
say,
mind.
yeah,
Go for
I don't
it.
know if you want to talk about it. I'll talk about the bracket challenge, and then you could talk about the season
Yep.
victories. But I wanted to give a congratulations to Chris Dolan. He was on the show a month and a half ago, director of sales for the Florida Panthers. He ended up winning the bracket with 525 points. So
Good job,
kudos,
Chris.
kudos to him. We can give kudos to your dad, but he lost because he did not read the he
He probably
the
doesn't know
rules.
that.
Yeah.
I'll have to remind him.
Yep.
But, yeah.
So that was
Congrats,
fun.
Chris.
It was fun. Well, like we mentioned when we did this, I think we'll do a March Madness bracket. We'll do a hockey bracket, and we'll do a basketball bracket. Kind of keep it rolling, because I know I enjoyed it. I had some friends who got in. My dad got in. Chris got in. Jeff Greason got in, and your dad got in, and a neighbor got in. So I think people liked it. So I think we'll keep going. And then, like I said, if we can
hopefully grow the thing.
If we can monetize it, maybe we can do like a gift card, or we can get like something like that. But
I like it.
More to come on that. So
yeah, it was great. That was our first time doing it. It was enjoyable and fun, and we're gonna
it was cool how we could do it interactive on the screen too. I think that was cool.
100%.
Very cool.
You were right. The other first for us was doing our year-long picks. We went back and forth for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I had a nice cushion at the very end. I was up 2 points, but as we talked about, a lot can happen. Go 2-0 and 0 for 2, and then all of a sudden you're tied, and we were. So it came down to the final game, and you get bragging rights going into next year. You had KC as the winner, which right then and there gave you the crown. I thought the Niners were going to take it away. We were close on the score, actually. I had 28-24 Niners. You had 27-23 Chiefs, and it ended up being 25-22. So really, really close. And we talked about it, but it's just amazing sometimes. The Vegas guys know what they're doing. The line for the over-under was 47.5.
And it was 47.
47 points. Yeah, and of course that naturally brings out the people who put on their tinfoil hats and think there's
all
conspiracy going on, that it's rigged and whatnot. The best way to combat that, I saw, I don't know if it was on social media or something, but somebody was commenting on the game potentially being rigged, or the fix was in for bettors. And someone said, yeah, sure. I guess when the ball bounced off, I forget whoever's foot it was.
On that punt. Yep.
Yeah, on the punt, and then ended up in their hands. I mean, that's not something you can easily fake, and predict. So I just don't buy into that kind of stuff. Not trying to be naive. We know, I mean, we've seen over the years the NBA reffing scandal with Tim Donaghy comes to mind.
Yep.
He's a former Lakewood Ranch guy, lived over here in Sarasota, Bradenton, so that hits kind of home. Some of those things, the fix can definitely be in, but I don't. There's nothing in my eyes that makes me think that any part of the game we saw was in any way rigged.
Plus all those idiots who thought that the logo meant that it was going to be, 49ers, Ravens, and then they did, last year, as they said, it was red and green, and then it was Chiefs and Eagles, and then the year before it was red and orange. So they said, okay, Bengals or orange and blue, so Bengals and Rams. I mean, that's just a weird coincidence. I mean, I hate all those people who have those conspiracy theories. I mean, it's a pretty pure game. I mean, nowadays anybody can be tracked. I mean, we saw there was a handful of guys at the beginning of the year that got caught gambling, and then they got suspended 5 games. And then Calvin Ridley last year, he was suspended a whole year. So
Yeah.
people are monitoring what's going on. I mean, you got to be kind of an idiot to gamble nowadays because everything is
Yeah.
tracked. Everything's tracked.
100%. I want to
Yeah.
say with the Super Bowl being in Vegas, I think the rule for players on both teams was can't step foot in a casino. Like
Yeah.
couldn't place a penny
Yep.
wager, couldn't even go into the building. I'm pretty sure they were told absolutely no. And it sounds like from what we know, everybody abided by that, but not easy to do. You're there for, I
No.
don't know what time they got there, but you're in the Super Bowl. You probably want to let loose and enjoy yourself, but they were told no, and it sounds like they did. So good for them.
Yeah, podcast, the Kelsey podcast that I always mention, they actually mentioned that. And Jason Kelsey said it to Travis. He said, you guys are not allowed to be in a casino. And I guess they were allowed to, but they had to walk through it to go to like a restaurant or something. But, Travis said that he stayed away from the strip on purpose to get away from all the crap. And I know Andy Reid, he had a press conference on Monday, and I know he said that all my guys were told of the gambling rules. All my guys were told of the betting rules. So looks like it was policed pretty well.
Yeah, good for them. You brought up a good point. It's not easy to do. It could be a distraction to a lot of guys. The Vegas lights, the gambling, all that, the party atmosphere out there. And you mentioned it briefly, and I kind of want to spend just a second on it because I think it's worth mentioning what happened with Mahomes and his father. Getting I think his third DUI.
Yeah, third DUI. Yeah,
unfortunate. Stuff happens, but 3 is pretty terrible. And I'm surprised that didn't play a little bit more of a factor leading up to it. You have two full weeks going into the Super Bowl, and there's so much media attention. I'm surprised people were not more up in his grill, making a big deal about that. Trying to get in his head a little bit. If you're a 49ers fan or something, it can easily be a distraction, but it sounds like Mahomes somehow tuned all that noise out. And good for him because, I think it could have easily been a big distraction.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's just really cool how, we talked about at the beginning of the show, how he's just a player, man. He's a true player, and he's not going to let anybody distract him. So maybe they might have said something to him. He could have probably easily said, F off. I'm not talking about this. I'm here for the game. So I didn't, I didn't watch all the media days last week, but that could have been what happened. And he could have just said, look, I'm here for the game. Leave me alone. I mean, that's probably what he probably could have said if it got brought up. But.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I know we're going to keep our shows a little bit shorter now, try to break them up into some segments and make this consumable for folks so it doesn't go on and on and on. We want to make sure we're providing good content and keeping it concise. So we'll take a short break soon. Before we do, Dan, I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about next year? I know it's super, super early. This is the first time we've seen a repeat champion in 20 years. Do you think there's any chance they three-peat? And if not, who do you like next year? Who are you putting your money on right now?
So if you want to write it down, maybe hold me to it, maybe not hold me to it.
In right now.
I actually think there's a good chance they do a three-peat. And the reason why I say it is it looks like the whole band's going to be back. I mean, Mahomes obviously is under contract. Kelsey's under contract. I saw yesterday when I got home from, your house, I think Andy Reid's going to sign a contract extension. So Andy Reid's going to be back. And the really major guy that they got to re-sign is Chris Jones, who's a really good defensive end. So if they can re-sign him, they have a pretty young defense. And my boy Rasheen Rice, I mean, he, like I said earlier, he really, really stepped up big. And I think sky's the limit for that guy, second year. And, they might sign somebody. They'll probably draft a wide receiver or two, but I think they have a really good chance. So, gun to my head, if I had to say it right now, I think they have a good chance of doing a three-peat. I mean, I know it's going to be really tough because the target's going to be on their back. But I think with just the same team coming back, the same coaches, same quarterback, pretty much same offense, and if they can re-sign Chris Jones, that's going to be the key breaker. If they can re-sign Chris Jones, I think they're going to have a good chance. But if they don't re-sign Chris Jones, that's a big aspect on the defense.
Sure. I like it. I don't know how you can go wrong with that. I mean, they did it twice. Why can't they do it 3 times? And you mentioned they bring the whole band back together again. Why would you think anything's going to change or anything be different? So I think it's pretty wise. I don't I don't know if I want to pick them. I could see it happening. I thought the Niners would get over, and there's just as much reason for me to think they could win next year too. They're the only team, if I was considering the NFC, to think that they have a shot, because I'm looking at the other favorites in my mind. Dallas, they flamed out this year.
Yep.
Eagles flamed out this year. There's just the Rams, the Lions, maybe. I think that division, NFC North, is going to be interesting. I won't pick them to win the Super Bowl next year, but I do think Green Bay is going to be.
Sky's the limit for them. But Jordan Love, sky's the limit. Yeah, sky's
he's
the
only
limit.
going to get better if they put some weapons around him. I can see them going deep. But I don't really – it's crazy, 2 years now in a row, AFC. And next year, I could see it being another team. Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens. The Chargers might be better now with your boy coming to them.
Oh, yeah, my boy. Yeah.
There's the Bengals, the Bills. I mean, the AFC is just making the league just a seesaw between the NFC and the AFC, the conferences. I'm going to go – I think he has to get it done next year. If they get healthy, Mark Andrews, J.K. Dobbins, some of those guys, maybe a couple more receivers. I thought the Ravens would go a little bit deeper this year, and maybe it was their time. I'm gonna say Ravens next year. I think
all right.
They get it done. That's my pick. But
interesting note about my Chiefs this year. Just to mention, they went on the road. Don't forget. So they played a lot. They won a lot of those big games on the road in Buffalo and in Baltimore. So if they have a better year next year, it'll be at home. But that's tomato. We got plenty of shows and plenty of arguments to go back and forth. Not arguments, but opinions. So
one more quick thing on football before we break.
Sure.
Andy Reid, do you think he's cementing himself, or at least putting himself in the conversation with guys like Shula and Belichick for maybe the greatest coach of all time? If he keeps coaching, he's only 65, I think. So if he coaches another 5, 6, 7 years, do you think he's putting himself in that conversation? Do you think he has a shot to maybe run down Shula one day? I know he's still behind Belichick, obviously, and now we don't know if Bill's going to get that coaching wins record. But what do you think? I mean, to me, it's just impressive. Reid, he had a lot of success in Philly, wasn't able to get the Super Bowl with him, but he's translated that same success and more with another franchise. And like you said, they're going to keep running it back, and their core's not going to change. So what do you see for, where he can go and where he ranks now among the all-time coaches?
I would say at least 1 or 2 more Super Bowl wins, because he only has 3. I mean, I know that Belichick has 6. Yeah. Shula's up there with the most wins. So I would probably say 1 or 2 more, but like I said, he signed a contract extension, so he's going to be around at least, another 4 more years. And, if he could lay off a couple cheeseburgers and maybe do a little more cardio, lose a couple of LBs, he might, get in better shape. But I mean, he looks like he's fine. I mean, maybe he's not the best shape and he's just a big boy, like, a lot of us are. But, there's
no shame about that either.
Yeah, there's no shame about that. I know.
His post game, I think they asked him what the post game celebration meal was going to be.
He said cheeseburgers. Yeah, we were watching that yesterday morning before I left. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No, but to be honest, I think 1 more Super Bowl. I mean, that'll give him 4. That'll give him a 4-1 record in the Super Bowl. He lost 1 with Philadelphia, and now he's won 3 with Kansas City. So I would say 1 more, and probably consistent 10, 11 win seasons. I think he'll be in the top 5 at least of top coaches ever.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
I agree. I agree. To me, it's really impressive that he's done it with a couple different teams. I mean,
and he's done it with a bunch of different coaches too. I mean, all of his coordinators have been leaving. I mean, Eric Bieniemy, they had a bunch of different defense coordinators, and they had different quarterbacks: Donovan McNabb, then Michael Vick, then Alex Smith, and now Patrick Mahomes. So he's really been successful with 4 different quarterbacks, if you really think about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's not easy to do.
No, not at all.
A cast of characters around you that keeps changing. You're the constant. You're the glue.
Yeah.
For all that success, and he needs some accolades. So
exactly.
Good stuff. I think it's a good time. We're obviously doing our beer segment, so take just a few minute break, gather up our supplies, and we'll be back. Stay tuned for the beer segment.
Let's do it.
bus smile and a couple beautiful girls tell me goodbye. Trucks break down, dogs run off, politicians lie, been fired by the boss. It takes one hand to count the things I can count on. No, there ain't much man that ain't ever let me down. Long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart. Like diamond rings and football teams have torn this boy apart. Like a neon dream, it just don't know me. The bars in this guitar. And long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
We had
Gosh,
a
that
special
song.
treat. We had a special treat for our Super Bowl show. If you tuned in and saw it, we did a new beer every 15 minutes or so. I think we each had 4 in total, so we were crushing some beers on the show. Not
yeah.
going to do it quite at that rate, but we're going to do one each again, and it's been a good thing. So, Dan, I think when we were together, I think I did the first one, so I'd
Yeah.
like to give you the floor if you'd
Sure.
like it.
I'm ready. So this one right here, if you look at the art, it's called Life in the Clouds by Collective Arts. So you can kind of see really cool art on it. I did this before. I did Collective Arts. I don't know if you remember, probably a couple months ago. I did one. It was just a double IPA. This one is a New England IPA. So it's going to be hazy. It's going to have the hops are some Sumikoa and Mosaic. So it's a 6.1 alcohol volume. And it's probably gonna be very citrusy and very hazy. So, let's try this bad boy out, and we'll see. The pours are not going to be a problem here. You know that. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that color. Oh yeah.
It does look hazy. I can see that even through the camera. We're doing this virtual.
Yep. I turned my virtual out if anybody can see, and I think I like it. I think it's going well.
It looks like it's almost like a tangerine, it looks citrusy, kind of looks a bit like a Blue Moon.
Yeah, so if you can kind of see, it's very hazy. New England IPAs are unfiltered, so it's very, very hazy, and you can already smell the hops on it. And let's give it a little. Ooh, that's good. That's real good. So first of all, I hit the sweetness comes out, and then you get some citrus, and then the hops at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and give this an 8.2.
Wow, that was quick. Didn't even have to think about it.
No, man. I love my hazy IPAs.
Okay.
So
I like it. I have to go back and see how you rated the other one because that was pretty strong. I'm guessing so the brewery was Life in the Clouds?
No, brewery is called Collective Arts, and it's out of Calgary, AB, Canada. What is AB?
Alberta.
Yeah, Alberta. That's what I figured. So that says 1 part craft beer, 1 part canvas. Collective Arts is a fusion of creativity featuring the talents of emergent artists through our global call for art. This is done by Shirley Viong. So like I said, you can see it's pretty cool.
Nice. Collective Arts. So that's sounds like a good brewery. Shout out to Canada. They're doing something right up there.
What are you talking about?
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, buddy.
I got one I think you're going to like. So I'm going to show you the can art and see.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a Kool-Aid looking beer. It says, "Oh yeah,"
on fruit punch sour, huh?
And it's a fruit punch sour. I know you're a big sour guy, and you know what I am when it comes to can art. This thing just was screaming at me. I expected the Kool-Aid man himself to be on here. So this is by Magnify Brewing. They're based out of New Jersey, and it's 6%. Don't really see a description on here, but I don't know if you need one. Based on the can, it's probably going to be pretty sour, and if it tastes a little fruity, fruit punch, that might be decent.
And imagine I'm sitting right next to you because you were 4 for 4 on Friday in pours.
Yeah, I think I was. This one, can's probably a little bit bigger than the glass, maybe.
That's what happened to me on Friday. Remember, your glasses are a little small.
Well, there's just barely a little bit here.
Holy hell, look at that thing. It looks like a Kool-Aid.
This looks like some kind of raspberry, strawberry Kool-Aid kind of thing.
How you smell them? What's it smell like?
Both a little bit of a sourness to it, and definitely smell the the Kool-Aid to it, so let's see if it's what I expect. Oof.
That's never a good one when you say the oof.
No, it's not bad. It's dead on what you would think.
Yeah.
The sourness is a little much for me, but it's definitely refreshing. Let me give him one more before I rate it.
Okay.
It's decent. It's not my favorite. It's a little pungy with the sourness. But if you're a sour fan, you'd like it. Good beer on a hot day. You drink that in the summertime outside. It a little refreshing. I don't think I can go 8.2. That's a little high for me, but I want to stick there with you. So I'm gonna go flat 8.0 on the nose. It's a good beer. It's a good beer. I'd recommend it if you're a sour fan. So I think we had a couple good ones.
I got you. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Very cool.
I knew I was going out on a limb when I saw that can, but it's pretty good.
Cheers, brother.
All right.
So I want to hit a new little segment here. I mentioned it earlier. We talked about it yesterday that, everybody knows Tiger Woods. He switched from Nike. He was with Nike for 27 years. He had the iconic TW as the logo. And just this morning, actually yesterday, he announced that he has a new brand, a new logo, and a new outfitter. So like somebody who's going to, do his different clothes and everything. So I'm going to share this to the screen. I don't know if everybody can see it, but if you can see it, it's the new brand is called Sunday Red. And what that means is it's the red golf shirt that he wears on Sundays. And if you can see right here, he has that's his new logo. It's a tiger and it's got 15 stripes on it. And that represents the 15 majors that he has.
I don't know how I feel about that because
it looks a little different, but I think it looks cool. I mean, you can kind of see it right here. I mean, I don't know how clear it is for you, but it's, like I said, you can see the tiger on it. And
yeah, I can definitely see the tiger, but my thing is he writing himself off that he's never going to win another major? I mean, I know the odds are against him at this point.
That is
but
interesting.
What if he happens to get 16? Then he's got a tiger on his shirt with 15 stripes. I
guess he's going to add another stripe. Maybe that's what he's going to do. But
maybe, yeah.
I mentioned it to you yesterday that TaylorMade was going to get him because he has TaylorMade clubs. So
yeah.
But I think it's kind of cool. He's got like a new line of everything. I mean, right here you can kind of see he's got the black hat. He's got the sweatshirt.
He's looking pretty fly there, man. Look at that.
Yeah.
What is that, a cardigan he's got or something like that? I mean, he looks like he's in shape there and having fun.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. So I thought that's pretty cool, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I looked at their website, and it looks like you can start buying stuff May 1st. So I don't know how expensive it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be pretty expensive, but I think it's pretty cool, and I just wanted to talk about that, and also mention he's actually playing in a golf event this week, the Genesis Open in Riviera Beach. And if you remember correctly, 4 years ago, this is the same tournament that he got in that bad wreck, leaving it because he's actually the quote unquote, he's the host of the tournament. So this is pretty iconic for him to come back and play at Riviera Beach, where he got in that nasty wreck, where he almost ended his career, almost lost his leg. And I think I saw a couple videos today on Instagram and TikTok. He's looking pretty good. I mean, obviously he's just a practice round, so there's no intensity, but he looks good. He's walking good. I mean, everybody can say what they say about Tiger, but I've always liked watching him. I mean, he single-handedly brought the game to the popularity that it is today. And obviously over the weekend when I was with you, we went to Pop and Stroke. I mean, I think that's really cool what he's doing with that. I mean, he's just a global figure. And like I said, say what you want about him, but I've always been a huge fan. I don't know what your thoughts are on him.
Me too. The guy's had a little bit of controversy here and there, some extracurriculars, off the course, if you will.
Yep.
But that's just, I think, comes with being a celebrity in general. And you could make the argument that this guy in his prime and his peak was the most popular celebrity / athlete on the planet. I mean, I think, wasn't he the first $1 billion athlete, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy has just had the spotlight on him really, if you're going back and when he was 14, 15, 16 years old, playing with his father,
Yep.
all the way until, making I think it was 18 when he finally broke into the majors. And ever since then, it's just been cameras in his face all the time. So just, bound to have some stuff come up here and there. But I think he's handled it about as well as anybody could. The stuff that followed him in his personal life, the injuries as well.
Yeah.
The guy clearly can handle adversity and tough situations. So I think he's a good role model for a lot of people out there. He seems like a pretty good guy, and it seems like he's a good father. He's heavily invested in his son's life, and clearly the sport of golf is a bonding thing for them. So I want to see Tiger stick around as long as he can. I mean, honestly, I do like to see some records be broken now and then. And I thought years ago when he got his 15th that Jack Nicklaus was in his sights and he was going to be able to run down 18. It almost seemed like just a matter of time. It wasn't if, but when. And now obviously he is getting a little older. He's had injuries, and this kind of leads into something I want to ask you, but we talk about durability, and that's a good quality that makes guys the best of the best in any sport. I wanted to ask you, because he's getting up there in age a little bit, he's had the scares and the injuries over the last few years. How many majors do you think Tiger plays in this year out of the four?
He'll play in all
four. Hold on.
Okay.
How many do you think he plays in? How many do you think he makes the cut in? And then if he makes the cut, how many do you think he finishes? Because we know that he's actually withdrawn a couple times, his back, his leg, whatever. So 3 things. How many does he play in? How many does he make the cut? And how many does he complete all 4 rounds?
So you're going to give me shit on this one, but he's going to play in all 4. He's going to make the cut in all 4, and he's going to finish all 4.
Okay.
I know it's a huge ask, but
okay.
I think that he's really determined to really make it, worth his while. I mean, he had a withdrawal from the Masters last year, and that broke his heart because the Masters is his, favorite tournament, one of his favorite tournaments. And for him to have to withdraw, mid-3rd round, I think that really hit home. So I think that he pretty much probably went back to square one and just hit the ground running and really trained well. I mean, he's got a really nice course, or a house in Jupiter Island that he has a golf course on. So I think he just went back to training 101. And I think he just did everything where he knows his limitations. And I think that he worked with his limitations and made his short game better. He's always been a really good chipper, and he's always been a really good putter. So I think he just went back to that, and he's going to try to, get a decent drive here and there. But I think a short game is what's going to keep him going. So that's why I'm pretty confident in him.
Okay. I like it. You kind of, what you just mentioned was enough to make me change my tune a little bit. I don't have the confidence in the stones to think that he's going to go 4 for 4 like you. The biggest concern for me, I think he'll play in all 4. Obviously, if he's healthy, he should. The biggest thing for me is not even the finishing. It seemed like it's
going to be durability.
Thinking back to some of the major tournaments he's played in the last few years, maybe it just sticks out in my mind more, unfortunately, because we're so used to seeing him dominate and in these amazing moments of glory. But I've seen him where he's almost been, he's hobbling on the course. The guy looks like he can barely stand and walk, let alone swing a club. And it just looks like he was broken a few times where he had to withdraw it. So that's the biggest thing for me. I think hopefully his conditioning has gotten him to the point where he can make it through the rounds. But beyond that, I just wonder now about his ability, and not only his ability. And I don't want this to be a knock on him, but more a testament to how far golf has come, how much it's exploded in the last 5 years, decade or so. There's a lot of competition out there, especially with what Liv is doing to compete with the PGA. There are a lot of good young golfers out there. And I just think it makes for a lot of competition. And just the same way we've seen Tiger struggle to finish events in general, when he has finished them, he's just not put together good rounds. He just, had trouble finding his swing. He's got a new caddy the last few years.
Yeah.
I just wonder if he can compete with some of the young guys who we've seen dominate over the last few years. So I'm going to say he plays in all 4. I kind of want to say he makes the cut in 2, but you convinced me. I'll say he makes the cut in 3. And
Which one does he miss?
Huh?
Which one does he
Just
miss?
the one.
No,
Just
which
the
one?
Oh, I mean, they always say, which one has Tiger won the most? I know he's won the Masters a few times.
The Masters the most.
Pebble Beach he's also been pretty good at.
So the Masters is the only one of the 4 majors that is a constant. The other ones change. So the U.S. Open changes every year.
That were constants.
No, the U.S. Open changes every year. The PGA Championship changes every year. And the British Open changes every year. The Masters is the only constant. Are you looking up where they're going to be this year?
Yeah, because which one is at Bethpage sometimes?
That's the U.S. Open.
Okay.
So I'll look it up to 2024. And I'll tell you, I've watched golf a lot. I watched Tiger a lot. So let me see. PGA.
Yeah, so I got them here. So the U.S. Open this year looks like it's in June. It's actually on Father's Day. But the location just says various. So what I'm looking at must not be actually this year. It's just in general.
So it's in Pinehurst number 2. So that's in North Carolina. He's played that one a couple times. So that's a good one. Let's see what else we got. The Open Championship this year is going to be in Royal Tehran in Scotland. And the championship's going to be in Valhalla, which is in Louisville, Kentucky. So
I see that.
He's played all those courses, and I think that, like I said, I think he's going to make all 4, and I think he's going to show up. I mean, he's the type of dude that is so competitive. He doesn't want to look like an idiot out there. So that's why I still have a lot of faith in him.
Yeah, if I had to pick one that he misses, it would be a toss-up for either the PGA Championship at Valhalla or British Open. I'm going to say
that Open is funky because they get a lot of wind and a lot of rain. So that could be the one that gives him trouble.
Yeah, plus the travel going overseas. But I don't know. Scotland, where golf was largely born. I'm going to go. I think he misses the PGA Championship. It's the second major, so maybe he's still working to find his groove. Valhalla, I don't know that he's had a ton of success there. So I'm going to say that's the one he misses. And honestly, the others, I hope he finishes them all. But even if he finishes the others, I just wonder, if he's even going to be, if he's going to win any, if he's going to be top 3, top 5. I'm pulling for the guy for sure, but I got to be honest, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, just one last note on him. I mean, you said he's a good role model. I mean, he's just the perfect example of trial and tribulations. I mean, being in the spotlight for so long, I think, obviously he had his troubles with his marital life. Then he, had trouble on the course. He got arrested for being on painkillers, got a DUI, I believe, a couple years ago. So I think it's just a story of trial and tribulations. I mean, I don't think I could be able to be in the spotlight for 20 plus years and not have one hiccup. I mean, everybody's human at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, few people could. I mean, he's not been perfect. He's not been a saint, but he's faced a lot. And I think he wears it too. I think he's owned up to a lot of it. I don't think
he has
any of the mistakes he's made. So
yeah, he used to be an ass to all of his local, regular golfers. He used to never help anybody. And then over the last, I want to say 5-10 years, he's been very vocal with working with Justin Thomas, working with Ricky Fowler, working with Jordan Spieth, being more open to the media and more open to the fans. So I think he probably got a big
dose of humble pie.
That's what I was just going to say. I was just going to say that. So, I mean, good for him. Like I said, he's a true competitor. And that's why I think that this latest comeback is going to be pretty legit. I think he's going to really show it and really show out. And I think he's going to prove everybody wrong, which I'm hoping for.
Yeah. So the majors will be coming up pretty soon. It looks like Masters is the first one that kicks it off. Yeah. First weekend of April, second weekend. So
yeah,
should be a good season. Before we turn the page on that, I think you probably caught it. It was the first season last year on Netflix. Our good friend of the show, Eric, heavily watched this, and he actually might be making a cameo on the next season. Of course, I'm talking about Full Swing, the Netflix documentary. You caught the first season last year, right?
Yes, I did. It was very cool. Very cool stuff.
I really, really enjoyed it. I think it was really one of the first shows like that. I mean, in the world of golf that gave you an inside look at some of the players.
It just shows that they're human, is what I liked about it. It shows that they're human.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's not something that we really got to see in the world of golf, because you look at Hard Knocks has been around for 20 years now or something.
Yep.
I mean, it's a staple that there's been so many repeat teams, and you've gotten to look at players in the NFL for a very long time now, following them through training camp. The NHL, I think, has the road to the Stanley Cup. I don't know what baseball or basketball do, but Full Swing is kind of the equivalent for golf. And it was really cool to show you just how some of the players deal with the pressures, the spotlight, the competition, the camaraderie. Really, really cool show. If you haven't checked it out, give Full Swing a shot. They'll be coming back with their second season, I think coinciding with the launch of the tour here. But I mentioned Eric because he was up in your neck of the woods last year. He attended TPC, and they were filming episodes of Full Swing there. And he was not following some of the cameras, but they were filming him and some of the guys he was with. So if we pay close enough attention, we may see Eric on the opening credits, or doing a little cameo or something like that. So shout out to Eric. Hope you get some airtime. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, very cool. And I kind of going off of golf, I want to hit a new segment. We didn't really mention this before our pregame show, but there's a big UFC fight this weekend, UFC 298. And I know you like UFC just as much as I do. So it's headlined by Volkanovski versus Ilia Trupia, and then Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa, Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary, Marib Davishvili versus Henry Ceruda, and Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopolva. So a friend of the show, Jeff Grayson, big UFC guy, big jiu-jitsu guy, he told me to take all the favorites. So all the favorites right now are going to be Trupia versus Volkanovski, which I think Volkanovski is going to come out swinging. I watched him live in Jacksonville a year and a half ago. So I'm going to pick Volkanovski in there. He mentioned that Robert Whittaker is going against Paulo Costa, and Whittaker coming off a first KO loss, but Paulo Costa hasn't fought in 2 years. So he's thinking Whittaker's going to win. Another interesting one is Ian Gary. He's a Irish guy. He's from same town, I think, close to Conor McGregor. So he's a big, like I said, big Irish dude. I think Gary's going to win. And then Henry Cerudo, he used to be the bantamweight champion, and then he retired, and he just came back a couple years ago. So I think Marib Dilvisha is going to beat him. So I think that's going to be an interesting fight. So I think that it should be a good card this week. I don't know if you know too much about UFC, but I wanted to kind of touch on that with football being gone. We could talk about UFC a little bit.
100%. We're going to get into some of that stuff. I don't know much about the fights coming up this weekend. I know Volkanovski. I'm going to be paying more attention to it. That's for sure. Yeah. I wrote down your thought here of taking all the favorites, and we'll bring it up next show a week from today and see how they did. I'm starting to pay more attention to it. I respect the sport a lot.
So do I.
My oldest boy, actually, a few of my kids, they take part in jiu-jitsu and
that's what MMA Jeff does too.
Stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great way to stay in shape. It's a great way to learn, technique and self-defense and things like that. These guys, some of them are just probably out of their minds. I think you have to be to get into a cage and fight somebody like that. But a lot of them are in tip-top shape. They're peak athletes, and I give them a lot of credit. So I'm going to be paying more attention than I have probably ever before. So definitely keep tabs on some of the big upcoming fights. There's a few.
Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
No, I was just saying there's a few guys that I know of who I'm interested to see. They're obvious choices. Like I'm interested to see. I think it was a Barstool thing. They said we may never see McGregor fight again, and I don't know why. I don't know if he got hurt or something, but obviously he's a name that most people know. He's probably been what you should consider, I think, a legend of the sport. Some of the other guys like Jones, I don't know what's going on with him, but everybody says he's the best to ever do it. So if he ever fights again, I'd love to see it. I always thought Khabib was maybe going to come out of retirement, because didn't he retire undefeated or something like that?
Yeah, he did.
There's a few guys like that I would love to see, and maybe it's just a pipe dream, but I'm definitely going to be keeping track of anybody else that maybe could be like that.
Yeah, so he fought, I want to say 6-7 months ago, John Jones did. and he whooped he's up in heavyweight now, so he moved up from light heavyweight to heavyweight, and he was supposed to fight he was supposed to fight that one guy who was in heavyweight. What was his name? Help me out with that.
Yeah, look it up. Jones won in the first round that fight, didn't he? Like, wasn't it like 15 seconds or a minute or something real quick?
Yeah, it was really quick. So he was supposed to fight. Hold on. Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting too, because the next one is 299, and then the one after that is 300. So a lot of people are saying that 300, that may be when Conor McGregor comes back.
I'm asking, what is the cadence? And if there is one, I don't know, but there's been 300. So how many do they do per year? Is a show like that every
They do
month
about
or-
3 to 4 a year.
That's what I thought. So it's every quarter almost. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
Francis Ngannou. That's what I was thinking
Oh,
of. So
okay.
John Jones was supposed to fight Francis Ngannou, but they didn't re-sign him for UFC, and he actually went out, and now he's a boxer, and he's fighting Tyson Fury in boxing. So
Ngannou is?
yes,
Yeah.
I don't know when that's going to be, but yeah, that's what's going to happen. So, but yeah, UFC 99, that's a really good one. UFC Sean O'Malley versus Vieira. You know Sean O'Malley, he's my Irish boy, and then
I did
Dustin-
just see O'Malley. I think he beat somebody.
we actually watched it together last July.
No, it was more recent than that, I think.
But yeah,
July?
so I want to say we watched
No,
one with him, but
I think O'Malley was more recent. I think I saw him fight. Let me see.
he fought in August 2023. He beat Aljamain Sterling, which was a really good fight. And then
Yeah, I'm looking at him now. This dude, the pink hair guy. No, I definitely saw him fight more recent.
I gotcha. But yeah, that was his last fight was in August. But going off of that, I think UFC 300. That's where I'm reading a lot of stuff on Facebook and Instagram that McGregor may come back for 300 because it's such a big event. So there should be a lot of fighters in UFC 300. Hasn't been verified yet, but that's when I think he's coming back.
Yeah. Now, you know what? You might be right, man. For some reason, I'm thinking of a different fight. It was him. You're right. We saw that was July. Wow.
August. So I think it was after we went to that Rays game.
August. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like I said, just a new little subject for us to talk about. We'll have to talk about it on next Tuesday after this UFC fight, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. 100%. So we're a good hour in. A couple more things maybe to just touch on quickly. A lot of this stuff will be focusing more heavily on in the coming shows. Like you said, now that football's done, what do you? I think you wanted to briefly just scratch the surface on some basketball, maybe some hockey. Anything you want to touch on before we go?
Yeah, so I mentioned that in basketball, my Thunder and my Magic, those are my two teams at the beginning of the year to make the playoffs. And funny, actually, they're playing tonight in Orlando, and I haven't checked the score, but those are two teams that I said at the beginning they were going to make the playoffs, and Oklahoma City, they're actually number 2 in the West, so they're looking pretty good. The Magic are number 6, so they've been on and off, so they're still looking pretty good to make the playoffs, and I think that'd be pretty cool if they did it. But they're playing tonight. They're actually getting killed 92-79. The Thunder are beating the Magic in Orlando, so not a huge deal, but it's a lot of stuff's heating up with basketball. They just had the trading deadline, and they're about halfway, like hockey is. They play 82 games as well, so they looking at the standings, Boston is still up there. Cleveland has been on a run. They've won 9 out of the last 10 games, so they're playing really well. The most surprising thing that we haven't touched about basketball is the Milwaukee Bucks. They fired their coach in the middle of the season in his first year, and they picked up Doc Rivers off of the broadcasting booth. So he's now the coach of the Bucks.
Wow.
I don't know if you saw that, but
I didn't see it. I mean, when did they fire him?
They fired him like 2-3 weeks ago.
They're 35-19. Why? I mean,
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Adrian Griffin was the coach. And I don't know why they fired him, but he was having a good year, and he was, they had a good record. And then they hired Doc Rivers, who everybody knows Doc Rivers. He was with the Sixers last year, and then he was with, a lot of the Clippers before that, and then he was with the Celtics before that. So I don't know why they fired him. I haven't heard much about it because, we've been in football. It might be something I can do research on and find out if there was some kind of, baloney going on or some kind of crap going on. But
yeah, that's a bold move. I mean, yeah, that's a bit surprising, but we'll see if it works. I'm just staring at the best team in the league right now, Boston Celtics. I called it from the beginning, and I
Yep.
know people could look at that and be like, oh, easy cherry picking the best team kind of thing, but anything could happen this season. Injuries,
Yeah.
it couldn't. It's easy for it not to go according to plan, but right now they're dominating the league. I mean, they just 41-12. They're just ridiculous at home. I mean, 25-3.
They actually
is
started the
just
season
incredible.
20-0 at home, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. So that pick of mine is remaining pretty strong. I mentioned this before. They're still, I think, kind of right in the same spot. I just kind of want your thoughts now that we're coming down the stretch in basketball a bit. The Lakers, they're sitting at 9. You still
Yep.
think they squeak in and make it?
I do. I mean, like I said, when we touched this, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, they still got LeBron James, and they still got Anthony Davis, and with LeBron James, anything can happen. I mean, I spoke about him when we did our top 10 countdown of 2023. Our top 5 countdown. I mean, he's been in the league 21 years, and he's still top 5 in scoring. So, LeBron James on your team, anything can happen. So I think they're right there. They're 9.5 games out, and they're 28-26. They play 82 games, so they have about 40 games left, give or take. And I think they're going to pop it on. They're going to make the playoffs and probably get the 6th seed. Maybe I'm going to think they're going to go up to the 6th seed, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted your opinion on more than anything. Is if they make the 6th seed, then we know they're in no matter what. But if they're in that 7 through 10. They have a play-in, and they got to win to actually get in, right? So
we'll see what happens. I mean,
fringe of that. So
the Suns are a good team. The Pelicans are a good team, but they're super young. But I think they can jump. The Mavericks and the Kings are super young. Golden State's right on their tail, and Golden State still has Stephen Kerr, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting little last couple weeks last couple months of the year. But another thing I wanted to touch on basketball is this week is the All-Star weekend. And I don't know if you ever watch it, but one thing that I usually like to watch is the slam dunk competition.
Yep.
And I'm going to I'm going to tell who I think is going to win. They got Jaylen Brown, Mac McClung, Jamie Jacquez Jr., and Jacob Toppin. I want Jaylen Brown with the Celtics. Your boy, he's going to win hands down. He's a freak of nature, Jaylen Brown. I don't know if you know too much about him, but he's a freak of nature. I think he's going to be doing really good really nice slam dunks.
What's the format now? Is it truly all just on style? Judges do 1 through 10 kind of thing and rate them, or how's it work?
Yeah, so you get for each dunk, you get 40 to 50 points from each judge, and there's limits per dunk. So dunks 1 and 2, you get a minute 30. So your best dunk in a minute 30.
Okay.
Yep.
I like it. Gives guys an opportunity to, I guess, be as creative as they can.
Actually, you have a minute 30 to get an attempt down. So if you do a bad, a really cool dunk, but it doesn't go down, you still have a minute 30 to get it down. So if you do something crazy, you have a minute 30.
Can they use props and anything like that?
So they do use props in some of the rounds. It must be approved in advance, but they can use props. I'm looking at the rules right here.
Okay.
And so it should be pretty interesting. Another cool thing that they're doing is they're doing a 3-point competition. And what they're doing is they're doing Stephen Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu. She's a top WNBA player, and they're doing a 3-point challenge between those two, which would be pretty cool. That's the first time they're ever doing a NBA player versus a WNBA player, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess that's probably a way to try to bring in some different viewers, maybe bring the female audience into it. So interesting.
So that'll be cool. And then they also have, the 3-point competition, which, about the 3-point competition. They got some good guys in there, but that should be pretty fun. And then Sunday is the actual All-Star game.
Yeah.
So
again, call me kind of old school. Maybe there's just like people want kicking out of the NFL. There are probably even more people, at least from the NHL perspective. I imagine it's probably similar in the NBA. There's a ton of people who want the All-Star games gone. Even in the NFL, people thought the Pro Bowl.
Well, that's getting out of hand. That's stupid. Flag football. I don't like that. That's getting out of hand.
Flag football. I think in the NFL, they could do a ton of great things with the skills competition, the way that hockey does theirs.
Yeah.
Just similar to the dunk competition. Dunks, I don't know. I could see it being a little repetitive. I did watch the NHL All-Star game. Theirs was 2 weeks ago. I didn't watch the All-Star game. I just kind of got a little busy. I meant to. I just didn't have the time. But I did watch the skills competition. That's something I have always enjoyed.
Yeah, me too.
I enjoy some of the classic ones, like the fastest skater. I just like seeing who.
Oh, so do I.
Who's the fastest in the league. People might find it boring, just guys skating laps, but it's only one lap, so it's not a lot of time, and you just see who's the fastest. I love the accuracy shooting. Shooting at some targets, I think is awesome and challenging. I love the hardest shot to see who can shoot it the hardest. So I love that kind of stuff. And in basketball, I always kind of enjoyed as a kid. I liked watching them do like the around the world thing, the 3-point contest where they have.
Yeah, they still kind of do that. Yeah, they still. Yeah.
I think they should absolutely keep some of that stuff to showcase some of the skills. But I'll tune in. I'll watch the dunk contest, and I wrote it down, so we'll see if you're right with Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing with the All-Star game and the All-Star Slam Dunk competition, it used to get a lot of big names. Like LeBron James should have done it, and he's not going to do it now because he's old. But he never did a slam dunk competition. Back in the day, it was Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant. A lot of the guys, Dominique Wilkins, back in the day. A lot of the big guys that were dunkers actually did it, and like I said, LeBron never did it, and that was kind of something that everybody wanted to see LeBron do, a slam dunk competition. But I still enjoy it. I think it's fun.
I think there was a year, you got to keep me honest, I don't know this at all, but was for us vertically challenged guys, was my boy Muggsy Bogues or even Spud Webb, were those guys in the dunk contest? Even if
they were. They were.
I thought so.
And then also old Nate Robertson too. He was a short dude too. He was in it.
Yep.
So they were actually funny. Stub Webb did it. He actually, remember the old Reebok pumps? He actually pumped himself up for the slam dunk competition.
I'm sure it worked.
Yeah.
I had a couple of those, I think.
I did too. I think we all did. I mean, our age group, I think all of us did.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, cool stuff.
Very, very cool stuff. Keeping this show a little bit short. We started out heavy with some football naturally and dove into a couple new things, which will continue to come on the horizon in subsequent shows. Now that we give football and the NFL, NCAA a rest for a little bit, some other stuff will be coming. So if you like different sports, make sure you continue to stay tuned to us. We'll try to bring some great sports talk to you and cover some different things. Keep it interesting as we start to roll into spring. So with that said, Dan, any parting words for the people? Anything you want to say?
That's it. I think next week, we'll focus on hockey. We didn't really touch hockey this episode. We'll recap the UFC fight from this weekend. We'll recap the Tiger Woods PGA Tour. And then, we'll just take it how it comes. And, if people want to reach out to us on any of our platforms, see if they have any ideas to let us know what we could talk about or anything like that. We're wide open. We're just making this fun, making it interactive, like we always say. But I think other than that, that's all I really have. And
awesome. The suggestion box is out there. Definitely drop us a line if you got some recommendations or suggestions. But appreciate everybody listening. Overtime Sports Show, episode 19 is in the books. See everybody next Tuesday. Peace out.
Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Everybody come see the greatest show. Everybody come, everybody come, everybody.